Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing my extra time thoughts for Ipswich Town nil, Everton 2. Our first away win of the season in a very convincing performance from Everton. It was well worth a long trip down to Ipswich on Saturday morning, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the whole day and also the performance from Everton. But we'll start with my thoughts on the lineup. Listen, we knew Branthwaite was going to be touch and go. I think that was probably the biggest omission from the team was Jared Branthwaite. Obviously, Dyche in his presser late last week, he said that Branthwaite was going to be monitored for 24 hours before the game. Obviously, it was clear that Branthwaite wasn't able to travel down to Ipswich. So obviously, as I said before, we knew he was going to be touch and go. So I think I was pretty glad he was out for this game rather than, Fulham next weekend, for example, or if we look even further down the line, games that maybe are a little bit more difficult. If you look at this game on paper, Ipswich away, it is one of our easier games of the season. No disrespect to Ipswich, but that being said, I think I was happy that Branthwaite probably did miss this game rather than other ones and just got back to that full fitness. But yeah, the lineup, it was pretty strong. It was to be expected, I think. I don't think I could have put many more players. Maybe Nathan Patterson to play over Ashley Young. But that being said, I thought Ashley Young has played very well in recent weeks. So yeah, as I said before, the starting lineup was to be expected. A big omission from the bench was Jesper Lindstrom, and it was also confirmed after the game by Sean Dyche that he was ill. A bit interesting that Dyche didn't mention that in his press conference. Unless it came on very suddenly for Jesper Lindstrom. Obviously, I think it's a little bit interesting that Dyche didn't mention this. Maybe are we seeing another Arnaut Danjuma situation? I certainly hope not. But no, it's one to definitely keep an eye on. But disappointing not to see Jesper Lindstrom because I think he would have, maybe offered a little bit more than Jack Harrison in this game. But that being said, Jack Harrison did start as he was pretty much the only option to play off that right hand side. But yeah, as I said before, starting lineup was to be expected. But I'll go into my first half thoughts now. I thought we started very strong. We should have been 2-0 up, in my opinion. Two big missed chances for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Dwight McNeil, respectively. McNeil getting the ball into him from Iliman Ndiaye just on the edge of the box and taking an extra touch rather than hitting it first time. I think, Dwight McNeil thought he had a little bit more time to set himself than he actually did, and Jack Clark managed to nick in front of him, and McNeil caught him, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin one-on-one against Muric, you would expect him to finish that. A striker that wants to be paid 150 grand a week and wants to sign a new contract and, potentially leave Everton and go on to pastures new for a bigger club. A player like that, you should be scoring one-on-ones against championship level keepers. And unfortunately, he didn't. So, as I said before, we should have been 2-0 up before we eventually did take the lead through Iliman Ndiaye. A decent cross from Jack Harrison to the back post. Wasn't met by anyone but an Ipswich player. I think it was Wolfenden that headed it away, and it fell to Iliman Ndiaye after a mistake from an Ipswich defender, and he capitalised on it so well, didn't he? He was absolutely fantastic in the box there, a complete fox in the box, nicking the ball off the Ipswich player and hammering the ball into the back of the Ipswich net. It was an absolutely fantastic finish, and it prompted the away end to go into raptures and also prompted the away end to start singing his brand new song, which you will have seen a lot on social media in the last few days. But it was great to see us, for once forcing teams into errors and capitalise on them. And as I said before, what a finish from Iliman Ndiaye. He is rapidly becoming my favourite player in this Everton squad. That boy, he is absolutely fantastic. The way he embraces the fans and he just gets you on the edge of your seat, doesn't he? Every time he gets the ball, you think he can do something. He's such a skillful player. So, really happy with his performances at the moment and great to see him on the score sheet. No doubt that'll kickstart him into even more goals in an Everton shirt. But that being said, the first half rumbled on. Ipswich were growing into the game a little bit. They were creating a few chances. I know they had that big chance early on, which Jack Clark absolutely spooned over the bar. But he was one of the players that seemed to be creating the most for Ipswich. You look at Omari Hutchinson, Liam Delap, and obviously, as I said before, Jack Clark. He was a player that was creating quite a lot for Ipswich, and he twisted and turned into the box. And it seemed that Dwight McNeil did catch him, and he went down for a penalty. And the referee bought it. The referee did give a penalty to Ipswich, and after quite a lengthy VAR review, this was actually overturned, and I think it was the right decision in my opinion. It was very consistent with the Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Dan Burn incident a few weeks ago, just before the international break. It was very consistent with that. It was pretty similar in my opinion, and Kieran McKenna after the game was complaining a lot, and I don't really know what he's complaining about, to be honest. I think it's quite clear that Jack Clark kicks Dwight McNeil in that one, and Dwight McNeil knew himself as soon as it was overturned. He was nodding his head on the highlights, and I think it was one of them where I think if the referee had maybe stuck with his on-field decision, and after viewing it, it could have gone either way. But in my opinion, if you want to show consistency with recent decisions, you look at you look at the Dan Burn, Dominic Calvert-Lewin one a few weeks ago, with Everton. If you want to be consistent, and referees want to keep consistency in the game, and how they are applying the rules, this one had to be overturned. And I think it was the right decision, in my opinion. I was very critical of the referees a few weeks ago, but having looked at it a few more times, the Dominic Calvert-Lewin situation, you can see that he does follow through to the back. So if you are disallowing that one, you have to disallow the Jack Clark one. So I think that kind of galvanized us a little bit. We had a little bit of a wobble at that point, but it galvanized us to get back into our shape and go forward again in the first half. And that's exactly what we did. We had a corner which was headed out, and Dwight McNeil was twisting and turning on the edge of the box, playing it through to Michael Keane, who finished so well with his left foot into the roof of the net. And it was an absolutely fantastic finish. And again, the away end went into raptures. And what an atmosphere we were creating in that away end that afternoon. And to see a goal like that was absolutely fantastic. Michael Keane on his left foot from a centre half as well. It was just absolutely fantastic. And going into half time, I was absolutely buzzing. I felt we were in control. I felt like another one would have killed off the game. And I was hoping that we were going into the second half really positive, going to come out and really twist the screw on Ipswich, and try and get a third. And we did do that. We created a few chances in that early in that second half. We didn't really impose ourselves as much as was wanted us to. A few chances, a handful of chances, which was coming down the right hand side a lot. Actually, Leif Davis was all at sea against Jack Harrison. Leif Davis was a weird one, because in the run up to the game, I was singling him out, and earmarking him as a player that we need to watch out for, because he is very good going forward, but he was getting caught so many times down that right hand side, and Jack Harrison just had the freedom of that right wing, and unfortunately he didn't really capitalize on it, in my opinion. Jack Harrison, he didn't really take the game to Ipswich. He didn't run at the defense. He was kind of a little bit lackluster in his attacking chance creation, especially in that second half. We could have had three or four chances there created by Jack Harrison to kill off the game, and we didn't really do that. And with 25 minutes to go, I'm thinking, can we really twist the screw now and try and get a third? And we didn't do that, unfortunately. We massively sat off Ipswich, and let them have pretty much all of the ball and all of the chances. And they had a whole host of chances late on in that second half. I think this is fine against a poor side like Ipswich. No disrespect to Ipswich, but they are a poorer side than what we've played this season. So I think it's fine if you're giving chances to Ipswich and you're trying to just defend your box. I think that's absolutely fine. But for me, it did feel like very similar to the Villa and Bournemouth games. And I can see now why we did let those 2-goal leads slip, because we're happy to give teams like that chances. And you give a player like John Duran a yard on the edge of the box, he's going to find the top corner. Whereas is a Calvin Phillips, is a Wes Burns going to find the top corner? I'm not so sure. So I think, no disrespect to Ipswich, but it did show the hallmarks of those performances, and it did seem very worrying to me that we were willing to give them so many chances. And it showed why maybe Dyche's in-game management has given away those 2-goal leads in recent weeks. But no, I think we held firm. There was a few difficult chances for Ipswich that they failed to convert. We did held firm. Michael Keane, I thought, had a very good performance in the second half as well. In terms of defence, obviously going up the other end in the first half and scoring a great goal, and then defending very well in the second half. I thought he played marginally better than James Tarkowski on Saturday. So defensively, I thought we were solid, but it does worry me that we were willing to give them so many chances and just sit off them and not really create any of our own until the 95th minute, where Dominic Calvert-Lewin did go through on goal, and was, again, unfortunate not to put the ball away. But a striker, you have to score goals and you have to hit the back of the net. And although I did think Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a pretty decent game, all in all, his little link-up play, there was little touches where he was winning corners for us. I think in that sense, in his hold-up play, he did have a very good game. But that being said, you're a striker, you're judged on goals, and he had two very big chances in that game and failed to convert them both. So I think questions do have to be asked. But no, my final thoughts, it was a good win, 2 clean sheets in a row. Ipswich were very poor. They did look like a championship team, playing a little bit out of their depth. That's no disrespect to them, because I thought their fans were fantastic. They gave us a great atmosphere down at Portman Road on Saturday. It was well worth the trip down because, as I said before, great atmosphere. It was a really good ground to go to. But that being said, I do think Ipswich were just off the quality required to be in the Premier League, which, it's a shame, but I think we are seeing now that the gap between the Championship and the Premier League is such a big step up, and a team like Everton should have been going to Ipswich and coming away with all 3 points. And that's exactly what we did. Good win, 3 points on the road, our first 3 points this season on the road, 2 clean sheets in a row now, as I said before. And the standouts for me were absolutely Iliman Ndiaye. I thought he was fantastic. His running, he was pacey, powerful, really directing his running, and obviously a fantastic goal. But a special mention also to Ashley Young. I think he had a very good game, and he has been quite quietly going about his business as a very good fullback this season for Everton. I think people maybe would have asked a lot of questions of him last season. I think he had quite a few poor performances, and I think he'll admit that. But he is a top professional. He is 39 years old, and we shouldn't be relying on him week in, week out. And that's that falls on the years of mismanagement that we've had. But that being said, he has been doing very well recently. So I think we have to give him a little bit of credit, especially because he's 39 years old. But yeah, Michael Keane, Iliman Ndiaye, and Ashley Young, they're my three standouts. In terms of players that were a little bit off it, I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously in goal, in front of goal, wasn't up to the required standard. Yeah, I think even he was disappointed. You saw him at the end of the game. I think he was very disappointed in himself for missing that chance at the end, walking off. I think he was a little bit annoyed. I don't blame him. Obviously, from the outside looking in, it looks like he's sulking walking off the pitch, but I actually don't blame him. I think he is just a top professional and he wants to be the best player and wants to be the best version of himself. So I think he was more annoyed at himself than anyone else. So yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's one that stood out for me that wasn't really up to speed, and also Jack Harrison. I didn't think he created much going forward, and he offered a lack of quality in terms of attacking chance creation for me. But the biggest question that arises from this now is the pressure off Sean Dyche. Obviously now 4 unbeaten in the league, 2 clean sheets in a row. Are we starting to see a little bit of a pattern forming, a little bit of consistency forming in the Everton team? Yeah, there's definitely an argument for it. I think the pressure is definitely off Dyche, considering what it was a few weeks ago, especially before after the Southampton Cup exit. I think that the pressure is definitely more relieved than it was back then. But I think we do have to take it game by game. As I said before, Ipswich were a very poor team. And to sit off them for 25 minutes at the end of the game, against a quality team, that could have been a very vastly different story. So I think we have to take it game by game. Yes, the pressure has relieved on Dyche a little bit, but the questions do have to be asked. If that was a better team, would we have maybe conceded more? But we've got a difficult game on Saturday against Fulham at 5:30 at Goodison, so it's going to be a little bit more of a test for Sean Dyche. Can he, maybe outwit Marco Silva coming to Goodison Park, who Fulham do have a relatively decent record at Goodison Park now. So be an interesting test. But as I said before, 3 points on the road, second clean sheet in a row. I'm buzzing. It was a great day down at Portman Road, and special mention to Iliman Ndiaye because we absolutely adore him, and the new chant is going to be sung around all the away grounds this season, no doubt about it. But that is all from my thoughts today for Ipswich Town 0, Everton 2. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon.